In a world where the news gets twisted, Jon and Tom stand tall, never wished it. MAGA hats on, they take the stage. With laughter and facts, they break the cage. Unsanctioned voices feel less and bold, turning the tide, watch the truth unfold. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, debating the nonsense of the woke parade. With every punchline, conservative trade, they tackle the issues with humor and wit. In unsanctioned America, they won't quit. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite, as Jon and Tom clash through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining light. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite, as Jon and Tom clash through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, together they rise, wear their pride like a crown. In unsanctioned America, never backing down. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, shining light.
This is George Slopadopolas. He owes me $15 million. So today we're going to take him for a little ride.
Anyway, George,
You have exactly 5 minutes to pay me that money, George, or else I'm going to have to start breaking bones. You think I wasn't going to collect? Let me tell you something. I will go on your show and whoop your ass right in the middle of your friggin' show, George. I don't give a shit. I'm the boss, George. So you better have my money in cash. And if you don't have my money, then you're going to have to work for me for the rest of your life.
well, I know how to cook. Can I be your
Sure,
cook?
you can be my cook.
I'll be your cook then.
But you better make everything absolutely delicious, George. I ain't fucking around.
Okay, so how do you like your breakfast, Mr. President?
I'm not a breakfast guy at all, fortunately. I like the lunches, the beginnings is what I really like.
Thank you, Mr. President, for not breaking my bones.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
Comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appear to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection was broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. The belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case. And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that the process is rigged. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way. I mean, I see Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or, the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? You know what I'm getting to the Democratic Party? You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right to make the case that the right had a monopoly on insidious, evil tendencies, corrupt tendencies, duplicitous, hypocritical, untruthful tendencies. And every time they made those accusations, we turn around and find out that at least some of them are guilty of the same shit. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of all of it. I'm sick of all of it. They've actually made Donald Trump look like he was right.
That's because he was right, Stephen A. Smith. But, John, it's really funny to me that Stephen A. Smith seems like he's starting to wake up. He's not fully there, but it seems like he's starting to wake up.
Yeah, look who's awake. I mean, this is like an abrupt alarm. This is like your iPhone going off at 5:30 in the morning by accident. It's just blaring, 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 and he is awake. Now and here's the thing. How the hell did you not know this already?
No.
How the hell are you asleep? How many things do you need to get caught before you realize, oh yeah, it is the Democrats who are doing all this. It wasn't enough. The laptop, didn't you know years ago, where was the Stephen Smith speech when the Hunter laptop came out, right? Where was it when Joe Biden getting money from China, right? I mean, a million different things. You can mention Hunter Biden 100 times,
No.
right? But there was no big speech.
Nothing.
So, okay. Nope, he's a little late to the game. No problem, right? It's not 5:30 in the morning. That was what time your alarm was supposed to go off. It's 11:30 in the morning for Stephen Smith. His alarm's going off. But hey, it's better than never.
Yeah.
It's better than ever, right? And we're seeing this across the country from different Democrats who are all joining and now waking up. You have the mainstream media now moderating their tone, right? Being a little bit more respectful. In the first clip, you had Stephanopoulos there. Right, that wasn't post the $15 million judgment, but nonetheless, Stephanopoulos now got whacked with a $15 million judgment, right?
Yeah.
Settlement, ABC, and now they got to control their temper. You know what? If I were Trump, I would be suing them all for $1 million. It doesn't matter, $1 million, right? Because $1 million hurts every normal person. $15 million for a news agency, $1 million personally. Sue them all. Sue them all for calling Trump a racist, a fascist, all these things.
A rapist.
A rapist. You're allowed to talk crap about your politicians if you like, but you can't blatantly lie when you know it's a lie just because they're a politician, right? I mean, and you shouldn't be able to. You should be able to say whatever you want about the type of job that they're doing, but you shouldn't be able to destroy someone's character and say something that's false and get away with it when you're in news media, when you're an organization, right? That can afford to pay the price. So it's not worth going after Joe Smith, right, on down the street, who's a teacher or something like that, who's just lost their minds. But ABC, I'm glad that they're paying $15 million. Stephen Smith, I'm glad that he's waking up. It's about time. I can't wait to see all these other idiots. Look, Zuckerberg just gave $1 million. Bezos gave $1 million to his inauguration, right? Donation. They're trying to save face, right? They're trying to get at the table where policy that they have to subscribe to, right, as an organization is being determined. That's why they're doing it. And all the left is now realizing, oh crap, we are under the anvil now.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, John. Stephen A. Smith, I'm glad to see he's starting to wake up. I've always saw him as a very sensible guy, a very common sense Democrat. You know what I mean? Which is a rarity nowadays to have a common sense Democrat. It seems like
he hated white people to me. Like that was always my impression. Like, has this guy ever erred on the side of white people? Well, he has with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
right? And then she turns out to be an idiot. Well,
Yes.
that's another story. We haven't done any. Caitlin Clark, she kept her mouth shut. Nobody wanted her to talk about white people or black people or anything.
No.
Keep your mouth shut, play the game. Everybody loves you, right? All of a sudden she's like, oh, I'm sorry for being white and for being able to play basketball.
I'm here because of white privilege. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, talk about you're the best stupid player. You might be dumber than all the rest of them because all the rest of them are frauds. They can't play basketball, but they're still getting paid a bunch of money to do it.
No.
And you, on the other hand, are a great player, but you're also an idiot for going on and apologizing for your ethnic group as if you weren't born with talent. It's this pure stupidity. I'm glad that Stephen Smith is smarter than she is. So yeah, you're right. I think he is a kind of a pragmatic guy. At least he's honest. I give him credit. Don't get me wrong. I get him credit. I got to dig on him because it took him, how many years? 4 years. He was fine.
Well, the same goes for Rogan. I mean, look at how long he took to come on.
Yeah, but I've also said the same thing about Rogan, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, where have you been? You watched them steal an election, jerk-offs. You watched them steal an election. And now you're gonna, I mean, where were you when it was happening? So you watched the old lady get mugged on the street. You didn't open your peephole. But now, after the police came, beat the thug up, gave the old lady her purse back, they're saying, oh, man, that guy's a thief.
Yeah.
No, it's too late now. It's too late to be a good guy. At least you're no longer a bad guy. So.
Very true.
Well, welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned America. We have a big show. We have a big show for you tonight. Bigger than normal. It feels like we've been concentrating so much on the Florida show because so much is happening there. The purge of Trump, of MAGA, America First Republicans getting kicked out of the party all over the state. That's become big news. But we're going to make up for it tonight. We have a big show. It's going to be very good. Let me pull up the headlines here, and we're going to go through before. Let me pull this up, and then we'll get our prayer down. What's going on here? I got all kinds of problems. Okay, here we go. So, there we go. All right. This is episode 254, Unsanctioned America, December 17, 2024. On this episode, you just saw it. Slopadopolas owes the Don $15 million. Stephen A. Smith is now fully awake. Thank God. Jim Acosta and Brian Stelter share some outrage over the ABC settlement that we were just talking about during their little pillow talk episode. Joe Biden and Secretary Mayorkas sell off border walls for pennies on the dollar. It's a crime before Trump has a chance to put it up. But they just spent $3.2 billion on 32 mail trucks, if you can believe it. That's not a mistake. $3.2 billion with a B dollars for 32 trucks. 32, not 332, for 32. Less than 50 trucks, $3.2 billion. And you wonder where our money's going. Kamala Harris mulling another run at 28. She's got plenty of salads to serve up still. Speaker Pelosi breaks her hip. I'm sure she's buying artificial hip company stock, right? She's the ultimate insider trader. Mitt Romney finally displays some character 12 years after he ran for president. Now that he's not for sale, at least that's my speculation, Lindsey Graham stands up for Pete Hegseth as pressure campaign heats up. Liz Cheney was referred for criminal prosecution for witness tampering. This is the biggest. This is a gigantic story.
No.
Liz Cheney is being referred for criminal prosecution for witness tampering. Another not mistake. That's actual reality. It's almost like we're seeing the real U.S. come back to earth, right? Drones take over New Jersey. Everybody's been talking about that story. Diddy videos being fought over by celebrities trying to keep their images intact. January 6th was actually a FBI party at the Capitol more than it was an insurrection. And more on this episode of Unsanctioned America with Jon and Tom. I am former school board member John Arguello, and this is my great friend over here, citizen Tom Lord. And this is Unsanctioned America, episode 254. We're going to do a quick prayer, and then we're going to get right down to the show. Lord, so much to be grateful for today. So much to be grateful for every day. We, the American people, answered your call to bring this country back to normalcy. We hope that they continue to answer your call. We hope that they continue to put you first in their decision making. We hope that biblical Judeo-Christian values take primacy in the United States when people are voting and referring to their government or having expectations, generating their expectations for the government. We know that this is the time, an opportunity like never before, not since the Civil War, not since the Revolutionary War, have we had an opportunity like this to peacefully transition away from corruption to a moral standard. As long as we hold these politicians to that standard, Lord, I pray that you inspire them to do the right thing without all the pressure that the American people are putting on them, that they choose to do it of their free will. And but as always, we surrender to your will, Lord. And we know that as long as you come first, we know that good things will happen. And that's exactly what's happening right now. It's what it feels like. Our country is coming back, and we are truly grateful for that. Continue to allow us to do this show, Lord. It's something that Tom and I love to do, and we hope that people get a benefit, a service out of it. We love to serve in this way, and we hope that it brings you joy, and you make us better at it every day so that we can do a better job at it. In your son's name, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
All right, let's
start off. All right, John, like you said, it's a historic ruling for President Trump, $15 million out of ABC News. And wouldn't you know that President Trump's favorite reporter, Jim Acosta, had to sit down with Brian Stelter, and they were commiserating together about the chilling effect that this is going to have on the free press. Can you believe it, John? Here they are.
I can't believe it.
With the next president.
Yeah, and I just wonder, Brian, what this is going to mean for news organizations, for tech companies. We're going to talk about the implications for tech companies in a moment. But it seems to me that there's a lot of this bending the knee going on, and I'm sure the folks over at ABC will say that that's just not the case. But I just feel, and I wonder how you feel about that aspect of all of this. I mean, to me, it seems this is a time for our industry to stand firm. And we're going to have a very important job to do. And that's not putting us on a pedestal or anything like that, but we're going to have a very important job to do because Trump is not going to change his ways when he gets back in the Oval Office. He's going to continue to say things that need to be fact-checked. And you can't have the news industry worrying about this sort of stuff when they're just simply doing their jobs.
Well, if some bend the knee, others have to stand up straighter. You know, the former Time magazine editor Richard Stengel said this morning, Trump has sued dozens of publications and media outlets in the past, trying to, quote, intimidate the press into self-censorship, not to actually win any particular case. He did win in this case with a big payment, but that broader concern about self-censorship is one that I know many viewers and readers are worried about. And ultimately, That's Jim, right. As you know, we work for them. We work for the viewers, not That's for right. anybody else.
That's right. All right, Brian Stelter, thank you very much.
We work. Whoa. We work for the viewers and not anybody else.
They're
these
so
guys
full of it.
These guys work for corporate America. They don't work for the viewers. If they worked for the viewers, they would have been telling the truth the whole time. They would have been upholding journalistic standards. They weren't doing either of those two things. They have been lying to the American people. They knew about the laptop. They knew about Russia hoax. They knew about all these things in advance. They still know about them. And the bottom line is, if you're a good journalist, you don't get sued. Straight up. Yeah. You don't have to worry about getting sued if you tell the truth, because the truth is defensible. It is an absolute defense. The truth is an absolute defense. The truth as a defense defeats any defamation or libel or slander claim. So as long as you tell the truth, the problem is they don't want to have to tell the truth in order to not get sued. Yeah. I mean, this is incredible. I can't, as a recovering journalist, it just blows my mind. These guys need to be, aside from that head is completely distracting to me of Brian Stelter. These guys should not be on the air at all. They're liars. They have zero credibility. Acosta fighting over, come on. That guy is the worst piece of just journalistic trash. That's what they are. Yeah, It used to be that the Inquirer was journalistic trash. And these guys, now the mainstream media is beneath the Inquirer. Yeah. In the upside down world that we're in.
Their bias is so bad that they can't self-censor themselves, and they get themselves into this trouble, and that's why they find themselves in this situation. The people don't believe in them anymore. When he says that oh, the people depend on us. No, they don't. No one's watching you. Your numbers are horribly low. No one cares what you have to say. Maybe if you got back to telling the truth and actually reporting news, factual news, then you'll get some viewers back. Then people will care what you have to say. But at this point, no one cares what you have to say. Nobody.
Yeah, clearly nobody has any interest in the mainstream media. They've admitted it. We've shown clips where they're acknowledging that the mainstream media is dying, and it's a self-inflicted wound. You know, I mean, they didn't. It wasn't Trump that drove the dagger into their heart. They did it themselves. All Trump did was twist it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's on them.
And you know, we do have our own sources of information now. We have places like X. Yes.
I mean, are you kidding?
Thank God that Elon Musk bought Twitter and turned it into X, because now we have a free speech platform. An actual free speech
has
platform.
Been incredible. I mean, news is breaking on X on a constant basis. You go on X. First of all, I'm at Jon Unsanctioned. Okay, so go out, follow me on X. But it's like you go on X, and it's like you see breaking news on a constant. You just got to pick, and then you got to do some research. But I mean, if you're gonna break a story, X is the place to break it.
You know, I am at Citizen Tom Lord on X, and I'll tell you this. Every story that we put on the America Show comes from X. X is the #1 news app in the world right now. Yeah. And every story that comes on this show is from X. So, you know, and we give credit to those people that post it. It's in the headline, just like this one right here, John. The Biden administration. DHS whistleblower reports Biden and Mayorkas are selling off border wall construction materials before Trump takes office. This is unbelievable, but here it is. And there's not really much sound during this video, but except for the trucks, you know.
This is millions and millions of dollars worth of materials being shipped off to be sold for pennies on the dollar that should be spent. This is like if the United States had a tank. We were in war. We imagine we're at war, and Biden decides, because he doesn't like Trump, he does not want Trump to be successful, he takes all the tanks in our army and ships them off to China to sell for China for pennies on the dollar. That's what he's doing, because we do have an invasion going on at the south border, and Trump needs that wall. I mean, it's incredible that they would do. It's basically, I mean, it amounts to treason, really, in my opinion. I know that people are like, "Oh, that's too much." Okay, fine, but what is it then?
No.
What is it's sabotage, at the very least, sabotaging of the United States. It's certainly a violation of the oath.
Yeah, it's almost, I would say, obstruction of justice in a way. I mean, you know, you're preventing this border wall from going up, #1, and you're selling off the parts, #2. And we have an invasion happening at our southern border. But no worries, John, because Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick from Texas says he will try to purchase all of the border wall construction materials being auctioned by DHS. He will then donate them to President Trump. Here he is.
Joining me now, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Texas has its act together on the front lines of this battle with the illegals. But do you think it's time, Dan, for people like these sanctuary mayors to themselves pay a price if, in fact, they try to thwart the federal government's sole and supreme responsibility to enforce our border laws?
Absolutely, Laura. When I became lieutenant governor back in 2015, one of the first bills we pushed was no sanctuary cities in Texas, and we don't have any sanctuary cities in Texas. I'm absolutely disgusted by every act of this administration and every act of every Democrat in every blue state and blue city. They are undermining the will of the people. They are putting their people into harm's way. And Tom Holman, he's the new sheriff in town. They better pay attention. And Pam Bondi, she'll prosecute him. They'll put him in jail. It's a felony if you conceal, as Tom Holman said, or hide an illegal alien. Remember, Laura, in this group of illegal aliens are likely terrorists. We know we've arrested many across the border in the last 4 years, but we don't know who they are, or they're murderers, or they're sex offenders, or they're rapists. This is outrageous. And let me tell you what, every blue state governor and mayor who does this, you better buck up, Buttercup. I don't care you're male or female. We mean business. in Texas, and Tom Homan means business, and President Trump means business. And I don't know if you heard the latest today, Laura, but Joe Biden is now hauling off the border wall that's been lying down for years, and he wants to auction it off starting at $5 a piece. Message to the White House right now. I will bid on all of that wall, and we will buy it in Texas, and we will give it to Donald Trump. So I'm going to find out first thing in the morning where we're going to take the bid. I've got $1 billion in my pocket to do it. I write the budget with Senator Joan Huffman. We have the money. We're going to have about $6 billion in our budget for border security.
Dan, don't drive up the cost. Don't drive up the cost. The first bid is only $5 a piece of the wall. But
and I will go in and buy it all.
Yeah, don't drive up the cost. Buy it for $5. You know, and do it that way. Absolutely. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible. It's a. I don't know how they could not go to jail for doing that. Like I said, this is like you know you have an invasion going on, and the enemy, or not even the enemy, at least you don't realize he's the enemy, but you know your leader, your general, sells all of your equipment. It to me it's criminal. Trump said as much on his Truth. He called it criminal as well. Yeah. And I believe he's right. It is absolutely criminal that they would do that. You can't. I mean, but you know, at the same time, it's defensible because that's what Biden did in Afghanistan, right? He abandoned, billions of dollars worth of military equipment. You have the Taliban flying around in our Blackhawks and selling our weapons, selling Humvees to Iran, selling equipment to Iran. I mean, it's pretty bad. That was billions of dollars of military equipment. So he did it with literal military equipment, and now he's doing it with figurative equipment to save our country from an invasion.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. And wouldn't you know, where they are spending money, and we know this, that the Biden administration in their final days is giving out money left and right, trying to get rid of everything, spending all they can. And here's one poor example. They spent $3 billion on 32 mail trucks. These are EV mail trucks, so they're electronic vehicles. $32 million per mail truck. Unbelievable. Here's the story.
Wait.
Well, yeah.
Listen, that's so important. 32 million
per truck.
Per truck. I'm just looking something up really quick. Just so that you know, an A-10 Warthog, okay, which is a plane in the United States Air Force, it has a gigantic cannon on the front. It's a tank destroyer, and it is the Afghanistan soldiers' favorite airplane in the world, okay? Because whenever you're in a fight and that plane comes, an A-10 comes, you're burnt, and it just destroys the entire battlefield, okay, of enemy. That cost $18.8 million, that plane. So a plane that is life-saving, saves the lives. You can almost buy 2 of those for one USPS truck, okay? This is another crime. This is a crime. You know what? I forget my law degree. I need to go start building USPS trucks. That's the business I need to get into. I'm gonna go sell it. You can buy. Listen, for $32 million, even somebody as dumb as John Arguello can go build a truck and make it profitable. That's how ridiculous that is. They are throwing money. Are you kidding? They need to sue that company into non-existence. Whoever sold that needs to be the CEO of that company. If they can't, they better hold on to their records, because that is that's a poaching of our politicians is what that is. And I'm sure Biden, you know what? Let's find out who the seller is, because I guarantee you that Hunter Biden's last job now, or his next job, is going to be USPS truck salesperson of the year. That's just straight up BS, and they need to go to jail.
Yeah. It's sad. I don't see what's wrong with our current mail trucks. I mean, is there something wrong with them that we can't use them anymore? No.
They're cheap.
They're cheap. They work. It's that they want to switch us to electric vehicles. But why the cost is
32 trucks at a time?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
it doesn't make any sense.
Bullshit.
You know,
Yeah.
$32 million.
Excuse me. I mean, that's 30% the cost of an F-35 strike fighter. Okay? You can build a third of a stealth jet, Gen 5 jet, for a third of the cost that you get one USPS truck. It delivers mail. It doesn't even require any stealth. You can't put a gun on it. You can't save anybody's life with it. It delivers mail.
It doesn't fly. I mean, yeah.
It's nuts. It's nuts. $3.2 billion for 32 trucks. I mean, it's that's gross. It's gross.
Yeah. January 20th can't come soon enough, John.
Yeah, it really can't.
Well, you can believe this. Kamala Harris is gearing up to run for president again in 2028.
Oh my God! Just when we thought that the stories were bad. Listen, I'd rather spend $3.2 billion on 10 USPS trucks than Kamala Harris be president. Okay, yeah. I'd rather pay for those personally by working at McDonald's for 1,450 years than Kamala Harris be president. But thank God, I'm not the only one who feels that way. The entire country laughs. Let's hear what she has to say.
Well, yeah. Well, this is the news people talking about it.
The likelihood is of Harris running for governor.
What she's been saying to people over the last couple of weeks, donors, other supporters that she's been talking with, is you haven't seen the last of me. I'm not going quietly into the night. Advisors, people close to her are debating about
isn't that what Glenn Close said in what was the movie she was in where she kills the bunny?
Ever to be
Fatal Attraction,
certifying Donald Trump's win over her, especially 4 years after January 6th. And so
that's a nightmare girlfriend. That's what she said. That's not
and it
what
seems
a presidential candidate.
Like
I'm not going anywhere.
Essentially, that she would probably clear the field or mostly clear the field, and she would get to be governor of California. It's a pretty good job, right? It was good enough for Ronald Reagan and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jerry Brown, but if she does that, that means that she couldn't turn around and run for president again in 2028, right? She'd need to essentially declare right away. And that is what it really comes down to, because there are people close to her who say she didn't get a fair shot this year. It wasn't up to what she could have done, and look how well she performed anyway. She should get to go again in 2028. And then there are ones who say, look, with where things are with the Democratic Party, she would not have a clear field, a cleared field, rather, in the Democratic primary, and could lose the nomination. And to come off of 2024 into that would be really terrible.
You know, it sounds like they want her to run for president again. They're thinking that she could run for California governor and win hands down. I don't see what their attraction to her is. They're saying that she didn't have a fair chance. I think she had... For the time she had, yes, she had a very short amount of time to run for president.
She was the vice president for 4 years.
Exactly.
How much time do you need?
Yeah.
How much time do you... That's like me getting my AA. It took me like 10 years because I never studied. Well, she didn't do the job for the 4 years that she was VP, so what does she expect? It would take her. She would be on the same path as I was to graduation.
Well, that's the thing, John, is that she had to run on the Biden record. And most of those things that came out of the Biden administration were her talking points.
Disastrous. You know, I mean, imagine having, okay, the economy sucks. Yay, Kamala Harris, right? I was the border czar. I ruined the border. I opened it. I set it on fire. I planted bombs there. Everybody's coming in. It's where the weakness is, right? I mean, oh, yay, Kamala. I forced, I hated, I was putting black people in jail at rates that nobody's ever seen before. Yay, Kamala with the black community. I mean, she when she goes to speak to Hispanic, she speaks with a Hispanic accent. Yay, Kamala. I mean, she's just face, like on the face, impossible to get past. It will never happen on the face. It just can't. It can't pass. No. I think that's what America's. But now listen, I wasn't saying that in the election because I was terrified that she would win, right? And am I wrong? Maybe I'm the one that needs to move, right? I'll go move to Italy and live under, you know, I'll move to Argentina or Italy where they have Georgia over there, or they got Malay down in Argentina, and I'll be, you know, go live there.
Yeah.
If we had lost this election. But on the face, it's just, I think that the American people will never take her because it's such a fraud, right? It's a fraud to say we all knew we were being gaslighted.
The constant word salads, the fact that she can't go and do a 2.5-hour podcast, wants to be protected just like Biden did. It's just she wouldn't hold up.
90 years old, right? So she can't even do that. She can't. You can't pretend that you're 80 or get the treatment of an 80-year-old and then use age as a weapon, against the American people having information.
Yeah.
So I mean, she's just terrible in so many respects. But her record, really, listen, she's bad. The Democrats don't care how bad she is. They don't care that she's an idiot, that she's unlikable.
Yeah.
But the being broke for people in California, where even somebody who works at McDonald's wants to drive a Mercedes, that is not going to fly there.
No.
The economy is too heavy of a burden for any person who's not good at their job to carry. And that's her signature thing. Aside from the fact that she ruined the economy by, as one of the aspects, by losing the border, right? The job at the border. She got named border czar. I don't know. I think that was the beginning of the end. Yeah. And I think that Joe Biden did it intentionally, because the border was already out of control when they made her border czar. So they made her the czar of a empire that was already dying. It was a setup.
Well, it's clear that Joe Biden doesn't like Kamala Harris. I think everybody's figured that out by now. I think that Biden doesn't like Kamala Harris that much either. He knows that there was a coup led against him, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the story after this next one. But yes, Kamala Harris did appear at a seasonal event for Democrats, and she declared that they will not be defeated, and then serves, of course, another word salad. Here she is, John.
Our spirit is not defeated. We are not defeated. Let's be clear about that. We are strong. We are clear about why we are in this. And because you're here right now, I say, again, thank you, because not only are you clear about all of that, you're willing to put in the hard work. And that work must continue.
She always sounds drunk.
Yeah. We cannot let any circumstance or situation or individual ever take away our power to know why we do what we do and our ability to then get that work done.
What?
And especially because we know what we stand for, and that's why we know what to do.
We need a sound effect for question marks, because that's it's like a series of question marks. What punctuation school did she go to? It's nothing that she's saying makes any sense. I think that she just wants to build and build and build, and it looks like my kid trying to build a skyscraper out of Legos. You would never want to live in it.
No. She's just terrible all around. But this next one, John, crazy, because this might be signaling the end. Nancy Pelosi suffered a fall and potentially broke her hip while in Luxembourg, Germany. And John, they say that if at that advanced age, if you break your hip, that's it. Yeah. You don't have much time left.
Hard to come back, yeah.
And here's a picture. You can see clearly in this picture, John, that she is holding this man's hand very tightly, almost like she's holding herself up.
Wait, so this is after the fall?
No, this is before.
Oh, yeah. So her leg was hurting already. So her hip probably broke So it happened while she was in Luxembourg, right? She was on a trip to Germany and Luxembourg when it happened. Do we have any business with Luxembourg? That's like the smallest it's like, it's not even, it's like a state of a country that got forgotten about.
No.
What business does she have there with anybody? She's there explicitly to travel and make money for herself. There's no other reason for her to be in Luxembourg.
Well, the funny thing about that is, John, is Biden came out, and I guess he's talking about doing an executive order while she's all laid up now, preventing members of Congress from trading stock while they're not able to perform their duties in Congress. Something to that nature. I was just reading about this.
Wow.
And I think this is specifically to target the people that went after him that tried to get him out of power.
Wow. You know, the funny thing, that would be interesting because, you know, that would ruin their, I mean, that's how they make their money, right? Insider trading, from what I understand. And according to reports from all over the place, all these accusations and allegations made against them. But the other thing about this whole trading deal is that they, I think that there's, I don't know. I imagine that he wouldn't do it, right? I think at the end of the day, he's not going to do it. But what a way to go out, right? He's basically breaking apart the party. He's going to break this thing. I mean, there's so many of them that do it, that people are developing apps that you can trade yourself using the same trades that Nancy Pelosi. You can follow her, right? And they track her app, they track her trades, and then it will trade for you the same way. You know, what a brilliant idea. What a brilliant idea. I cannot imagine if I'm going to have to look into it. We're going to have to do like an unsanctioned investment account.
Maybe that's how we'll generate some money for the show. We'll make a deposit. We'll invest in these certain companies, just a small portion, and
let's invest like $100 in an unsanctioned account, right?
Let's see how much we can grow that $100
of Nancy Pelosi, and then we'll have the ticker on the show at the top right here, where it's showing how our stocks are doing. According to, I mean, too bad that she's not going to last much longer with her broken hip. But I mean, you know, we're gonna have to find out who's the next best inside trader is, so that we can do that. The unsane, and then we'll tell you exactly who to invest in. We are not investors, by the way. Don't follow our advice.
No, don't.
But
you'll be sorry you did.
You just bought a whole bunch of technology. You bought a whole bunch of radio equipment.
Yeah. All right, John. So it's about that time once again. Let's go check in with the rhinos.
You know what a rhino is? A rhino may be the lowest form of human life.
All right, wouldn't you know that a bunch of the rhinos came on Sunday television this week? The first one up is Mitt Romney. He actually showed some grace on CNN. He said J.D. Vance will be the 2028 nominee. He said Trump deserves a legitimate credit for expanding the party. And he said Republican Party is now MAGA, no question. Here he is in his own words.
A few months ago that, quote, there's a good chance that the Republican Party is going to need to be rebuilt or reoriented, and that you want to have a voice in the post-Trump Republican Party. Do you think that do you still think there's going to be a post-Trump Republican Party, or is MAGA now the Republican Party?
Oh, MAGA is the Republican Party, and Donald Trump is the Republican Party today. And if you were to ask me who the nominee will be in 2028, I think it'll be J.D. Vance, all right? He's smart, well-spoken, part of the MAGA movement.
You said something pretty harsh about him a few months ago, though. You could not have less respect for somebody than J.D. Vance.
Long ago. I'm not going to rehash history.
It was a few months ago. It was a few months ago.
Long ago.
Will the party need to change? Look, the Republican Party has become the party
He looks like a
of
baboon,
the
doesn't he?
working class, middle-class voter. And you've got to give Donald Trump credit for having done that, taken that away from the Democrats. Democrats pushed him out. All right, the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren faction of the Democrat Party with some of this, defund the police and transgenders in, biological males in women's sports. These things had.
No, you were right the first time.
Yeah, you
the
had
Democratic
it right.
Party. They're now Republicans. Now, one of the challenges in my party is that our policies do not necessarily line up with the interests of our voters, and so there'll be some reorientation that's going to be necessary in my party. The Democrat Party is the one in trouble. I don't know how they recover. And I'm not going to tell them what to do because I would begin to have the capacity to do so. But they've lost their base. Union guys.
Yeah. All right. Enough. Listen, but, this is Mitt Romney. This is him. He's going to say what he's going to say. It's the same Mitt Romney from 2016 where he was kissing President Trump's ass. And now here he is again doing it once more because he knows which way the wind is blowing. He feels it. He knows what's up.
Well, I don't think that the wind's blowing. It's a hurricane that took the entire country by storm, right? And he knows that, yeah, because he got blown away by it, right? That's the whole reason he's not a senator today, is because he would never win a race based on what he did against Trump, right? His whole stance, his whole persona. Now, it's funny. You and I agree 100%. The guy is putting his finger to the wind, right? And he's reading the tea leaves, and he's like, okay, well, but he's being honest about it, which he's never been honest about it before.
Yeah.
Right. And
so
he's
that
also
makes you wonder, John, why he has become all about Trump, why he's admitting that it's a MAGA movement. What is up with him now that he's not a never Trumper? I don't know if he's mulling another run for office, possibly.
No, I can't be. It can't be, right? I mean, like, he'd still never win. Right, Trump might endorse him, but he probably still wouldn't win. But
I don't think Trump would endorse him at this point.
I don't
think he's done.
But, you know, I mean, I don't know. He endorses Lindsey Graham, right? And so, I mean, this.
Yeah, but Lindsey Graham has never really stabbed Trump in the back like Mitt Romney has.
He has legislatively, but he hasn't like verbally.
Right.
And I don't know, but one of the aspects of this, and I think that you're 100% right. You know, he's sticking his finger in the wind, but the other thing might be that since he's no longer a senator, he's not owned by the lobbyists. So he's not required to say those things. He's not being pushed to say those things in order to follow what the protocol is, right? Like the Senate leader, it's not the Senate leader. He's not violating his normal rhino establishment job by saying the truth now. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that. I think that's a smaller part. But at the same time, he might, you know, like he gets up, he wakes, you know, he's got nowhere to go and nothing to do. He might as well go tell the truth type of situation now that he's retired and nobody wants him. Yeah. But this is for sure. If this had been Mitt Romney 12 years ago, he might have won the presidency. But because he was like a wet sock in 2012, and he's been a rhino with wet socks from 2012 until now, nobody can stand the guy. Yeah. Right. And the only time that he could be tolerated was when he pretended to get along with Trump. Well, what he said now is probably the saving grace of his career. If I were him, I would remove any record of anything I've ever said in the past and only keep that one interview and just use that as my resume.
Well, you know what, John? You have Tapper tripping him up and bringing his past words into focus in that interview.
With the whole trans thing?
Yeah, and CNN is the most friendly place for him at this point. So they're going to keep tripping him up because they want him to come on CNN and bash Trump. And obviously he's not at that place right now. So speaking of Lindsey Graham, John, another rhino, Lindsey Graham is saying that Pete Hegseth will be confirmed. He was on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker. Here he is.
So Pete, unless something I don't know about comes out, these allegations are disturbing, but they're anonymous. I asked him point blank, were you drunk in a bar, and got up and said, let's kill all the Muslims? He said no. There's one allegation in a police report about sexual assault. That person has the right to come forward to the committee, but about mismanagement of money, about having a drinking problem and saying inappropriate things, all of these are anonymous allegations. He's given me his side of the story. It makes sense to me. I believe him. Unless somebody's willing to come forward, I think he's going to get through. Remember Kavanaugh? 5 people accused Justice Kavanaugh of misconduct. 3 were outright lies. The other 2, I think, were not credible. So we're not going to let that happen to Pete. You're not going to destroy his nomination based on anonymous sources. People have to come forward and make credible allegations, and we'll.
Yeah, well, all right. I agree with him there.
I mean, this guy, I never thought that Lindsey Graham was that bad of a guy, right? He's a traditional neocon. This is a guy who appears. I mean, I read somewhere that he lived his entire life with his mom. For the majority of his life, he lived with his mom, and then that he's never been married and doesn't have any kids. That's a strange.
That sounds familiar,
bird.
John.
I know it does sound familiar, doesn't it? I think there's somebody in Osceola like that, but he's a strange bird. Okay. I don't know why Donald Trump tolerates him. It's kind of like Jeff Sessions. Remember we were talking about Jeff Sessions a while ago, where he's like the possum, you know? Yeah. Hey, I'm like holding a possum upside down by his tail. But Lindsey Graham is like the new possum. He's the new Jeff Sessions. He's like the possum character. I don't know why he likes him, but he does. he says the right things, but then he does the right thing in the legislature. So that's just kind of like, I'm a less fan of that. I'd rather somebody fight with Donald Trump, but in the legislature do the right thing, like a Massey, like a Thomas Massey.
Yes.
Than like a Lindsey Graham who says the right thing and then does the wrong thing in the legislature.
Yeah.
So
talks the talk but doesn't walk the walk, and that's Lindsey Graham.
So we'll see. Pete Hegseth. Listen, it's not because of Lindsey Graham. The whole Pete Hegseth thing, he's going to make it through because of the pressure campaign of the American citizens that have been squeezing the heck out of these senators, and it just shows that there's power in numbers. And if you put pressure on these guys to behave, they'll be forced to behave, at least temporarily.
Absolutely. Well, one rhino who's in a lot of hot water, John, and this is breaking news. Liz Cheney has been referred for prosecution. Listen to this.
Administration Subcommittee on Oversight, the committee that's been investigating January 6th, just released its final report for this year. It accuses Liz Cheney of tampering with the witness, Cassidy Hutchinson, trying to influence her testimony. It formally recommends that the Federal Bureau of Investigation criminally investigate Liz Cheney when President Trump takes over on January 20th. One of several bombshell revelations in here. The report also says that Jack Smith colluded with the January 6th committee, but that some of the evidence has not yet been turned over to Congress. They're demanding that evidence be turned over, something that might happen when the new administration takes over. But a really significant and rare moment for Congress to actually suggest that one of its members should be criminally prosecuted for tampering with a witness in an official government proceeding, a House hearing, the January 6th House hearing. As you remember, Cassidy Hutchinson was the bombshell witness for the Democrats, claimed that Donald Trump tried to commandeer the presidential limousine, take it to the Capitol. We now know that wasn't true. The Secret Service had already told Liz Cheney it wasn't true. She presented the evidence anyways to the American public, tried to give it credence. There's some other testimony where Cassidy Hutchinson talks about a document she claims she wrote it. She didn't. Someone else wrote it. All of that is laid out in this report. But the headline is Liz Cheney could be facing an FBI criminal investigation based on this information that Congress has transmitted this morning.
John, a quick follow-up real quick. I'm looking at witness tampering, obviously a federal crime, up to potentially 20 years in prison if this is witness tampering.
It's a very serious allegation. And as we now know from the reporting we did a few months ago, Liz Cheney was communicating to Cassidy Hutchinson around her lawyer. She was represented by a lawyer. When you go out and reach out to someone around their lawyer, you're violating the D.C. bar ethics, which, by the way, Liz Cheney was a barred lawyer in D.C., so she was obligated to follow those rules. But it goes beyond that. It suggests that she was trying to influence the testimony, get her to say things that would make Donald Trump look worse. This is a very serious allegation from Chairman Barry Loudermilk, the head of this committee, the guy who's run the counter January 6th investigation that has found so many things we were denied and not told about in the earlier probe. But a really significant moment today. And you're right. If the FBI were to pursue charges, this would be a very serious crime and one that could carry some serious prison time.
John, apart from Liz Cheney, you mentioned another name that I think is pretty big, Jack Smith. You said that he's named in this report. No referral for Jack Smith, but your expectation is that under Kash Patel, the FBI then would also be investigating him?
There is some evidence that Congress is trying to get its hands on that suggests that Jack Smith was colluding and working with the Democrats to take down Donald Trump. They don't have the evidence. They know what it is. They're seeking it from the FBI and the Justice Department. The hope is, in this report expressed, that when the new administration comes over, Congress will finally get that evidence and will know exactly what it was that Jack Smith was doing with the Justice Department, with the J6 committee. Remember, we also believe that Jack Smith may have had contacts, as did the Biden White House, with some of these local prosecutors in Georgia and New York. So that is another.
Wow. Wow. You know, I am praying, John, that Kash Patel comes in there and does what needs to be done. It's about time that the American people see that these people have consequences for their actions. We've seen multiple times where these people get away with all kinds of stuff. We saw Hillary Clinton slide. We saw Hunter Biden get pardoned for years of crimes. It's time we see some of these people have consequences for their actions. Let's start with Liz Cheney. Let's get Jack Smith. Let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a godsend, right? This is what the people want. This is the people want for these people to be prosecuted. They don't want a two-tier justice system. They don't want a justice system for politicians and then one for regular Americans who, if you don't pay a speeding ticket, you get arrested. But these people can lie under oath, perjure themselves, tamper with evidence, tamper with witnesses, like in Liz Cheney's situation. Just tell a subpoena to screw off and not show up. And I mean, Americans, they get outraged when they see politicians acting like they're 18th century French nobles, and we don't like it. So when we see them pay, we're happy to see it. And that's kind of like this whole thing about the murder of the CEO from United Health, right, or of the insurance CEO. And you see these Americans, you see a whole bunch of Americans that are like, oh, good, I'm glad that he got shot. Screw him. That's what this is. It's a Marie Antoinette moment. And I don't necessarily prescribe to that. I don't like it. I think it's not the right way to be as a society. But holding the leaders of our country accountable for their behavior absolutely is what we're looking for. And we're not looking for an old-fashioned beheading, right?
Yeah.
What we're looking for is American justice. You get caught, you go to jail, whether you're living in a trailer park, whether you live in the ghetto in Detroit, whether you live in a nice house in Beverly Hills, whether you live in a suburb here in Orlando, no matter where you come from, what color you are, what your background is, you go to jail when you get caught doing something bad.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what we want. And we're looking forward to that. And I think that the country will celebrate that as long as she's not protected. If she is protected, it will bring disgust, just like the Hunter Biden pardon brought disgust.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We need to see those consequences for these people, and including this person, John, if you can believe this. This breaking Fani Willis bombshell, a whistleblower's firsthand witness testimony exposes Bill Barr as the architect of the Fulton County RICO with Fani Willis. There are photos, recordings, and documents. Also, Armstrong Williams uses Ben Carson as an involuntary mole. This is some of the testimony. We don't have the whole thing. It's an hour and 49 minutes. But we included 3 minutes. That's kind of crucial of what this person has to say.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Anyway, I started to work for Armstrong, and I think Armstrong figured out that he can trust me because David trusts me to putting me to work there.
Okay.
So that's one thing that I figured out very fast. So I think because of this, Armstrong started to put me in all the kind of crazy thing he does. So I was hired as a journalist, but in the end, he was putting me to do business. He was putting me to write visa business plan. He put me to interview people. Then he put me to do all the kind of stuff like lobbying. I didn't know at that point, and that was my mistake. I didn't know you need to have a lobby license and all this stuff. So one day, I got this phone call, and was a woman on the phone, and she's like, "Hi, my name is Penny, and I'm here to talk with Armstrong." And I was like, "Okay, can you give me more information?" She was a little rude. I'm going to put it this way because she didn't understand my accent, apparently. So I transferred the call. That was my first contact with her.
Okay.
So after what I understand, it is they are working together for a long time. That's what I think.
Okay.
So she called there, and we have like a lot of calls with her. Bill Barr, I know that sounds insane, but Bill Barr is always in the office too. He's very close to Armstrong, and he's always there. And they're always like in touch. So Nathan called the office too. Nathan Partner also called the office to a bunch of times. I don't remember exactly his name, but I have all this. I have all the notes and information. But these people are always in touch.
Okay.
So we exchanged emails, text message, phone calls. Always Bill Barr was involved with this kind of things.
Okay.
I saw Fani Willis one time in the office.
Okay.
A small person, black woman, a little fat.
Right.
I saw her in person. I saw her, I think it was February 27, I think was February
23rd, according to your notes. I'll show you the notes. So it says 27th of 2022? 23. Okay.
Yeah, she was in D.C. not to met Armstrong and Billboard. She was doing another thing, and
where was the office?
Right.
D.C. It's in D.C. And so Bill Barr is coming over to Armstrong Williams' office
all the time.
Interesting. It's near the Capitol. It's also near. It's not far from the Fox News studios, and CNN and Fox. Tell me, it's CNN.
So you hear she expressly says Bill Barr over and over again, John. Armstrong Williams, and this woman was hired in. She just to work in the office, and then she was put to do things that she wasn't licensed to do, like lobby. She was lobbying, and she even says, that she didn't know it was her mistake. She didn't know she had to have a license to do that. Just crazy stuff, but it just shows the level of scumbaggery of some of these people and the way that they were treating President Trump and the things they were doing behind the scenes.
Well, while that was playing, I did a quick search of just like Bill Barr quotes while this was going on, right? So some of his quotes were like, Trump committed grave wrongdoing, and he says that this is a legitimate case. Remember when he said that? Like, this is a legitimate case, and he spoke, and he was talking about how, wow, I mean, it looks like it's damning and stuff like that. All of those things are Bill Barr knowing exactly what they have, what they were doing all along. I mean, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. When he was saying that all that evidence was very, very damning, I remember that. Yeah. And now to know that he was essentially involved in some way in that case, I can't wait to find out all the details of what part he played exactly.
Yeah, and I'm sure that more details are forthcoming. There's more going to come out about this. This is just insane.
I mean, I don't know. I think that he that no wonder he failed. I mean, he also said things like he failed to or that Trump knew that he lost the race. Well, now we know that he did lose the race.
Yep.
There's all kinds of now reporting right now. I'm sure it's going to be in the mainstream media in a week or two, but they're talking about like it's almost certain that Donald Trump won the race when you take into account the errors with the mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
So not only did he win, you have Bill Barr, the Attorney General at the time, saying that Trump knew that he lost the race. No, he knew that he lost the race because you stole it.
Yep.
And then he refused to take any action. Why? They were trying to get rid of him. So Bill Barr was clearly a mole the whole time. And I guess it just stinks that, I mean, I think that Trump knows better. And I think that, there's a special, I didn't get to watch it yet, but I can't wait to watch it. It's with Alex Newman, a friend of the show, Alex Newman, who writes for and is the host of the Liberty Sentinel, a great show. But he's got one called Behind the Deep State, where they're going to go through all of the picks, because a lot of these picks have been, they've mentioned that they're crowd pleasers, right?
Yeah.
But Bill Bars of the world are exactly who we want to avoid in that cabinet. And they go through it. I think that's something that we got to cover on the show.
Absolutely.
Because we can't have another Bill Barr ever again. And Bill Barr should basically, in my opinion, he should, if there's any possible way that he should face prosecution, he should know what it's like to be under the knife the way that Trump was with all that lawfare.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying for retribution. If he did anything wrong, prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law.
I'm down for that. All right, John. Absolutely. So let's take it across the nation. All right, so drones.
Big story, John. Man. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. People are talking about
Everyone's
drones.
talking about the drones, and I wonder if that's intentional, that these drones are out there. Distraction media, so that everybody talks about the drones. Well, President Trump talked about the drones. He says that Biden administration does know what these drones are, but they are hiding it. And here's President Trump.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey and the ports? And it seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people. And they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster. Want to know the truth? They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided.
But he's right, John. He's right. They absolutely know. You think about it. They think about the things that our military can do, right? And you tell me that they have no idea what these things are. Come on.
Listen, they 100% know what these things are. There's no doubt at all. Of course, the government knows. Trump just said it. I mean, I think this is another reason that people love Trump. It's like, why bother to pretend like you don't know what they are? I have my opinion about what they are. In my opinion, these are AI-driven drones, right? And they're putting them through a procedure of learning, right? They're having this AI learn. They're communicating. They're learning missions. They're smartening up their AI for the future. And, I don't think all the drones look exactly the same. I think that some of them are different. They're all different varieties. They can be test bedding some designs. I think as we're going to show here soon, that we have footage of some of the drones and people dealing with them. And it's obvious. It's so obvious. If these were Chinese drones, I don't think that the government would have said anything. They probably would have been just as dumbly quiet, but the American people would have figured out that they're Chinese drones before the government told us, just like with the balloons, right?
Yeah, because you see that people are interested. They want to know themselves. And since the government isn't giving us any answers, and we're going to show this later on, people are taking it upon themselves to try and figure out what these things are.
Yeah.
So, But President Trump knows what they are. He actually shared where they are going, John, and there it is. That's where they're going. They are McDonald's delivery drones. They are delivering food to Chris Christie.
This is terrible. This is the most hilarious thing. I think that I saw it when Trump truthed this.
Yeah,
a lot of people laughed, and it's funny because Trump loves McDonald's, true, but I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, Trump is in a galaxy by himself when it comes to trolling, and it came out of nowhere. I'm sure that Christie wasn't expecting it, but Christie's going to be mad for a whole 2 other years over this post, and I think that just makes him feel good.
I'm sure he's going to make an appearance on CNN or someplace soon. So he can
won't be wearing a
this.
McDonald's uniform.
But wouldn't you know, of all people, Adam Kinzinger says after spending a couple of days looking at these videos, he can confidently say the New Jersey drones are just airplanes, John. Here he is.
We don't see a threat here. And look, honestly, every video I've seen, and I've spent the last couple of days looking at every one of these videos, every video I have seen on Twitter or on the internet are all airplanes. They're literally all airplanes. Some of them will show an airplane that's kind of stable out there and says that's a drone. And actually, it's an airplane flying towards you at 30,000 feet, and I can see the lighting on it. And if there are drones out there, by the way, and if any of these pictures that they have shown are actual drones, these drones then are complying with FAA lighting requirements, a green on the right, a red on the left with a strobe. And so it's not Iran. It's not aliens if there are drones. My guess is if there are drones, again, because, again, all I've seen are airplanes, then it is more than likely some company that's out testing drones or something like that and has no requirement to tell the public that they're doing it because they're actually operating these things legally. There have been no accusations of illegal operations. By the way, as a pilot myself, I can fly over a military base whenever I want. Those restrictions don't exist. So I think there's a lot of mass hysteria, and I've heard stories of people pointing lasers at these quote-unquote drones, and then the drones' lights go off. Actually, let's be clear. I've been lased as a pilot before. You're supposed to turn off all your lights once you get lased so that they can't find you, because it can actually damage your eyes.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh! Somebody should have lased him out of the sky when they had the opportunity. He's such a weenie. He's right. I can't dispute what he's saying because he's right. When you look at the videos, you can see the lights. I mean, so you know it's not a UFO when it's got like a red light and a green light,
Right.
and it's flying in a. Now, I don't think that they're airplanes. Just like it's not like a Cessna. It's not like a 747 type airplane. These are different designs. I think that there's purpose, to what is going on. It might be corporate. It might be corporate testing. Either way, it's testing, and it's just not the big deal. You got to wonder why the government just doesn't tell you what it is. Why doesn't the government just say, "Listen, it's some company testing out things"? I don't know. They have permission to be flying, if that's the case. Or why don't they just say, well, this is defense testing or whatever. Or it's a military exercise. Same thing. Why? It's a military exercise. That's it. You don't have to give them. You don't have to give anything specific. It's just a big waste of time. And I think that it takes maybe attention away from the important issues, like this gigantic omnibus that we haven't had a chance to talk about.
Yeah. This is the thing, John. If it's a private company testing, why isn't the government just say it's a private company testing?
Yeah, I mean, the government loves to keep secrets that are completely unnecessary.
And that omnibus you're talking about, we're waiting to see what they do. We're waiting to see what they do, because that's going to be the story right there, is what they do with that thing. But yeah, absolutely. But here more, like I had said, people are going to find out what they are. They're going to take it upon themselves. This New Jersey sheriff sent his own drone to follow the swarm. Here he is.
Our own Rich McHugh went out drone hunting in New Jersey. He did not come back empty-handed. Rich, tell us what you saw.
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, I got to be honest here. When this story first came out a few weeks ago, as a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist, I didn't pay it much credence. I thought it would turn out to be a bunch of pranksters and this would all be over by now. The experience I had last night, however, changed the way I feel about this story completely. What I saw was more sophisticated than I ever imagined. Take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 lights, 6 lights.
I didn't believe what I was seeing. But what was I seeing? We're here in central Jersey. We've been looking for the past hour. I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones. In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there. One after another, these drones appeared in the night sky. If you look real close, they look like fixed-wing aircraft, about 8 to 10 feet wide, colorful, white blinking lights.
That is not a plane.
Definitely not an airplane, but what was it? Hours earlier, I was invited to join the Ocean County Sheriff Department. They launched their own drones to see if they could intercept the mysterious aircraft New Jersey residents have been reporting in recent weeks. The department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones.
Why do you think that is?
We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now. One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I see one right here. Did I see the same thing that officer saw? I'm still not sure. What I can show you is this video. What I can tell you is I've never seen anything like it before. Wow. And more than a month since these reports started, the federal government doesn't know what they are either.
What's your message to the White House?
My message is come to the Jersey Shore. I know it's wintertime, but come see what we see and then, maybe they'll have a better appreciation for why our residents are concerned.
You know, the Ocean County Sheriff, that drone unit, they have an industrial grade drone. They put it up. They were tracking one of these drones, Elizabeth, and they said this thing easily evaded them, disappeared out of thin air. So, you know, to me, it's, if this is not our military, then it's even more scary, and we need.
Yeah, and I see why this is a big story, and I know we've covered this from different angles tonight. I understand, you know, people are concerned. They're like, what is this? You know, and you've heard different things. You heard Jeff Van Drew say it was Iran. You've heard other people say, like Kinzinger saying it's just airplanes. But people know better. They know what these things could be or are, but they want definitive answers, and no one's giving them. So, yeah, I mean, you see, they saw 50 coming off the ocean, and no one's concerned.
They're going to be concerned.
No one's saying anything.
They're concerned. And for good reason. You're 100% right.
No.
Yeah, that's all reason. What you're saying is exactly, that gives people reason for concern.
No.
Why would they? You know, I mean, not to cut you off. I just think you're 100% right.
No,
why the hell wouldn't they tell why wouldn't the government tell the people what's going on? What is the point of hiding it? Yeah. It's not even a secret anymore. They've ruined it. Let's say that it's a top secret testing for AI drones, whatever. You ruined it because it's all over the damn news. I mean, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. Why does the government keep secrets that are unnecessary? It doesn't even matter. Yeah. You know, it doesn't even matter. These things are not, it's not. I mean,
and that brings back the question, though, John, is this distraction media? Is this being done on purpose to distract us from something else?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Is that what the purpose? That's the only thing that makes sense, right? And you can't now. Everybody's like, "Oh, don't be a conspiracy theorist. Not everything is a conspiracy." Wake up! Everything has been a conspiracy. Our elections were stolen. They're telling us the truth just now. 4 years later, it's going to be 5 years later until we find out the truth. Yeah, everything is a conspiracy. They knew all this stuff is going on. The intelligence agencies are behind a lot of these conspiracies. They allowed the election to be stolen. Bill Barr, the attorney general, created a situation where a president was being prosecuted for something he didn't do. Yeah, I mean, it's time to get conspiracy theory going, you know? I mean,
absolutely. Hopefully, sooner or later, we will get answers as to what this actually is. I don't know if we'll cover it in another story on the show, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, John, we haven't talked about the Diddy case since Diddy got arrested. He's been sitting in jail ever since. Not much news has come out about the Diddy case, except for him complaining about the food he's getting and things like that. Who cares, right? But Daniel Baldwin was on the Patrick Bet David podcast, and he's saying that there are currently bidding wars going on in Hollywood where celebrities are buying Diddy tapes to save themselves from being exposed. And I believe it. Here he is.
Look at Diddy, for instance. Let's take a look at him. Let's take a look at, he has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much, but what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on right now. They're driving that price up because if you want your client and your famous actor to not be involved, or famous singer to not come out, here's the price. And that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those. This is what I heard. They're selling those videos. So if you're Tommy X, and Tommy X is a big, big movie star, and he was at some of the Diddy parties. He was in one of those bedrooms with 3 other men, and he's happily married to a woman, and blah. Tommy doesn't want that video to come out. He does not want it to come out. Same thing for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the interesting thing about the Epstein and the theory about Epstein is we know he filmed people for sure on that island. He has a lot of movies, a lot of films of people that are very, very powerful political figures, and entertainers, business people. So, do you really believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? Of
course not.
Of course not. Yeah. Okay, so there's other theories that he's in Lebanon. He never died at all. That having the weight of owning those films right now over people. So will Donald Trump release those films? I believe Donald Trump probably has a lot of friends that are in those videos too. I don't know if it behooves him to release them either. But what happens if iconic African Americans or iconic Japanese Americans or iconic Anglo Americans. Former presidents. So what happens if they're in those videos? What does that do to the herding of the sheep? Because I believe that's exactly what we're experiencing.
Wow.
Former presidents. Just say the name Bill Clinton, dude. You think anybody's going to be surprised by Bill Clinton being at Epstein? Epstein probably had to say, "Hey, Bill, calm down, dude. This isn't that kind of place, Bill. Take it easy, Bill." That's what Bill Clinton does to a party. Yeah. Bill Clinton probably makes P. Diddy look like a Catholic schoolgirl. Bill Clinton he's the person that you want to be at a party when you want to do an insurance claim on your property afterwards. But to get back to Diddy, okay, I'm not surprised by this. And you know what? These people need to be discovered for the filth that they are. Don't allow them to deceive. Again, why does the government have an interest in preserving the reputations of a bunch of Hollywood pigs? What's the point of that? Yeah. And if you have a senator who's a pig, who's in there with the filth doing something potentially illegally, why does the government have an interest in protecting him? It's not. They don't. The government does not. You know who does? The lobbyists do, because that's bargaining position, right? The pharmaceutical companies do. All of these people out there who run the government, the corporatism that has taken over the United States, those are the people that have an interest in preventing these people from being exposed so that they can use that as a weapon against them, as a threat.
Yeah.
The government should not be, this is not a top secret thing. This is a theme. I don't know if you've caught on yet, but it's a theme. The government is not telling you the truth. Why? And we're not Alex Jones on this show. We learn after the fact. We don't know. Our show is not about telling you in advance. Alex Jones tells you about conspiracy theories that nobody knows about. We're all about showing you the outrage of two regular American dudes who are pissed that we know that now, right? Now that we know the truth. Why is the government protecting the people from Epstein Island? Why? The government has no job. The government is supposed to be protecting the American people. It's not supposed to be protecting a bunch of politicians from getting caught doing nasty things on Epstein Island, right? Or in P. Diddy's oil house. This stuff needs to come clean. We need to know about it. This is it. Listen, the media, people used to make fun of the media because they would be interested in this kind of gossip, right? But now the media doesn't even cover it. Why isn't the media all over Diddy? The media should be doing like public records requests and stuff like that, trying to get who's on those films and putting it out. That's the media's job. The media should be doing that, but the media stopped doing their job. The only thing that the media has now is to try to convince you that Trump is a fascist. That's been their only job for, since 2016.
Yeah.
So when the hell is this going to be corrected? And this is a good start. I hope that Trump has the courage and the fortitude. That people may not think, oh, it's not a priority to embarrass these people. It's not a priority to show Lindsey Graham in a thong, right, with an 18-year-old man. I'm not saying that I saw that. I'm just giving an example, right?
Yeah.
Now, if there was a lobbyist here for the school district, they know that about this guy, and this guy still does it. I'm not even mentioning any names. I'm just saying, right? Like, that about people here in Osceola. They still keep those people around.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like these people get lost. They have no shame. They're just slightly embarrassed, but then they go right back to doing the dirty things and showing up to work the next day as if nothing happened and collecting their paychecks. So why does the government do that? I don't know, but it needs to be corrected. I think that all this needs to come out into the sunshine.
Absolutely. All right, John. So to finish up this segment, over in Michigan, a journalist has captured video of a potential FBI informant manipulating the protest at the Capitol.
Man, what were we just talking about,
More of this stuff is coming out.
More and more is coming out, yeah.
You just see that this whole thing was
Where's Stephen Smith when you need him, man? Come
on. Here's the video.
A radio journalist from Michigan was shooting video that day at the Capitol. What he captured were two, most charitably called suspicious actors, but they are dressed in such a way that led him to believe that they were government agents. And one of them, after the windows had been broken by a protester, it was encouraging people to pull the rest of the glass out and go inside. Bobby Powell, who was the journalist that had shot it, and he has his camera rolling, he told him that would be illegal. He warned people off not to go into that window. And then he turned his camera around and he caught this agent or suspicious actor pulling a large pane of glass out. He clearly was committing criminal damage to property, and he has not been charged. So it, again, it raises a question of why.
Also, the individual trying to, again, opening the window up is even encouraging people to enter.
Wow. There you go. And it's like we were talking about, John. More and more of this stuff comes out, video footage, testimony from people on the ground, actual reports from the J6, committee that's investigating J6. We know that there was multiple federal agents on the ground. I think they said 26 total. What they were doing,
they're acknowledging 26, man. It's got to be more than that. I think it was more. Here's the thing. If it was only 26 and the 26 directed this entire thing, those 26 agents, they need to all be fired, right?
Yeah. And
then each one needs to be determined whether or not they're eligible for some kind of prosecution of a crime. Now, I don't want to see a federal agent. Well, you know what? Yes, I do. I want to see him in jail. If you did it, if you just conspired against the United States, right, by trying to create a riot so that somebody could steal an election just because you didn't know that it was going to turn out to be that. But you're breaking the law. You know what they're doing. Let's look at their part. Here's the thing. It's easy. Let's look at each one of those agents, see what their party affiliation is, see what their campaign contributions are. And if you have a federal agent who's a registered Democrat, who has given money to Hillary Clinton and gave money to Kamala Harris, and obviously, that's after the fact, but gave money to Joe Biden during that first campaign, and then they're pulling panes, these windows out of a thing, and then encouraging Trump supporters, come in. Jail time. Jail. Where's the clip, that meme of that guy saying jail time immediately? I mean, this is what our country has turned into. Our country has turned, listen, for 100 years, the United States has been treating Latin American countries the way that the United States is treating itself right now. So a lot of people, anybody who didn't study this academically, anybody who's not a fan of history, maybe you don't know about how banana republics got the name. Maybe you don't know about the interference the United States had in Latin America and all these different countries. Regime change, right? Dollar diplomacy, right? Carrot and stick. Remember all that? All that was created, that Monroe Doctrine, all of those things, okay, were very important. But we were never supposed to do those things to ourselves. And the government has gotten so fast and loose that it is now executing banana republic policies, not on Latin American countries, but on American citizens, on its own citizens. The weapons have been turned on us. The weapons of the United States government have been turned on us. I hate to say it. It breaks my heart, but it's the truth, right? The intelligence agencies, like what we would imagine the Soviet Union, the KGB to do. We imagine them to do it. They're doing it to us now. And man, it's heartbreaking. I thank God for people like Matt Gaetz. Thank God for people like Donald Trump who are fighting against exactly that. And it begins with money because it's all about money. These people can't get enough. It's not okay. It's not enough. If it's not okay to have a Lamborghini because so many people have Lamborghinis today. Now I have to have a Lamborghini times 1,000,000. And in order to do that, I have to make $500 billion. And there's no $500 billion. And you can't sell T-shirts and earn $500 billion. You can't sell fruit on the corner and earn $500 billion. Who's the only people that have $500 billion? The government. So you have to sell 32 postal trucks for $32 million a piece. Right? You have to sell them you have to sell 32 trucks for $3.2 billion. Yep. That's the only way that you can buy yourself a Lamborghini times 1,000. right? A spaceship Lamborghini, the next biggest. You have in order to be that much richer than anybody else, it has to be that way. They can only take advantage of the American people, and we're so dumb that we're still paying all these taxes, which taxes are theft to begin with, but now we're paying to be robbed. Now it is a mob relationship. The United States has become the mob. Yeah. And now we're all victims of the mafia today because nobody has been man enough to stand up and do the right thing in DC, because they'd rather be on Epstein Islands getting their backs oiled up by an 18-year-old in a thong. You know, and that's the problem with our country. And so these people, they pretend like they're followers of Jesus Christ, but really they're the worst examples of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah. And
we need to stand up. And hey, listen, we got our own problems here in Florida. We need to stand up because that's exactly what these people are. They're no different. They're just the JV version of DC.
No. Truth.
Hate to end the show on a down. Show something Trump dancing or something. Let's play we gotta play YMCA. We gotta, I hate to end it on a downturn, but listen, actually, no, the up is this. The up is that we're still allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
We're still allowed to fight for our country. We're not at the point where we're watering trees with blood, as they said in the American Revolution. We're at the point where we're still using our freedom of speech to talk and freedom of assembly. And those people on January 6th, those heroes of January 6th, they went to their capital and they made their voices heard. Some of them paid the price of going to jail. One woman actually was killed over it. But you know what? She's a martyr. And at some point, she's going to be celebrated like a martyr. And I'm praying that Donald Trump holds fast because he's got the whole country behind him.
Absolutely.
So that's the positive at the end of the show. Listen,
the positive is January 20th when we get President Trump back.
The positive is January 20th.
And we see these massive sweeping changes come because we desperately need them here. In
spite of everything, we still won. That's the positive. In spite of all the things that we've just talked about, we still won. So. And that was it, right, Tom?
Yeah, that's it. We went about an hour and a half. So
listen, we love you. We love you, Florida. We love you, America. We do this just for you. We do it because we love this country. We do it because we love the American citizen. That's why we do this show. So we're thankful. We're grateful to you and to God for allowing us to do it and for keeping us, live in the show and growing. We're always growing, and we truly appreciate that to you. Tom is going on vacation, so we're still gonna do the show. We're still gonna do the show. So you'll still see us this week. Look out for us, and it'll
be later this week, but you'll see us definitely.
We'll do another special.
We have a Florida show.
We're gonna keep rocking it with this whole Florida, this war on the Rhino War that we got going on right now. We're gonna continue pressing that. The RPOF, just to give you an update really quick, the RPOF filed a complaint apparently to change.org and got us kicked off the petition. Hundreds of people signed our petition. Obviously, Evan Powell and Bill Helmut got worried. They complained to change.org. Change.org took our petition down, but we're going to do it. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep fighting this battle. We don't need change.org, a woke corp anyways. We can do a petition in another way. We're going to keep doing these petitions. So join us for that as we continue in that story. We cannot give up. Look at Trump. Trump said it first. Trump said it best. You can never give up. So many people almost make it, but you got to fight. And we're going to continue fighting on this show. We're going to fight for our state and our community. We're going to fight for our country on Unsanctioned. So stay with us. Please like and share the show. And we'll see you again later this week. Thank you and God bless you. On behalf of me, former school board member John Arguello, and my great friend over here, Citizen Tom Lord, thank you. God bless you. We'll see you later this week.
Well, I mean, I was entertained, to be honest.
I think it is rich beyond measure. The fact that a school board member that has tens of millions of dollars of conflict of interest before this board has the courage to come up here and talk about anyone's behavior. If anyone should be ashamed of themselves, sir, it should be you. And I'm in favor of you being able to speak your mind, no matter what. That's how we get. That's remember when we were kids, right? And you had a problem with somebody, and then your dad would kick you out to go fight with that kid, and then you shake hands, and then you go home, and then you become friends with your kid. Disgust when they're trying to, take this word and give it meaning that it doesn't have. Like our entire country needs to go through a fasting. You see all of these new age hippies, right? They're constantly fasting. They're doing starvation diets, or they won't eat for this, or what is it called? Like some kind of
intermittent fasting. It's not just us, and not just fans of President Trump, MAGA Republicans. We're not the only ones that see it.